Hello there! Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1968 film Where Eagles Dare. It stars Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton. The film has one of the most badass plot lines when read out loud. A small group of agents are sent to the Austrian countryside to infiltrate a Nazi castle known as the Castle of Eagles, therefore the title of the film. This film involves Clint Eastwood gunning down Nazis. Yeah! Just recently, I did a video unboxing and review of the Clint Eastwood signature collection which I have bought. It features all of Clint Eastwood's films, and over the next few years, I'll be watching all of them, so please join me as I review some of them. Clint Eastwood was, and still is, a very busy man. In 1968 alone, he had 3 films released where he was in a starring role. This includes Coogan's Bluff, Hang 'em High, and Where Eagles Dare. These 3 films directly follow his spaghetti western trilogy, so these being his first starring roles outside of those films. We may all see this as a Clint Eastwood film, but the main star of this film is Richard Burton.
Allow me to introduce myself.
The two actors have 2 very different acting styles. Richard Burton having a Shakespearean background with dialogue-heavy roles and being a fast speaker. Clint Eastwood being quite tall, strong, masculine, and the roles that involve more of a physical presence.
Hello?
The film is written by Alistair MacLean, who also wrote the novel for the film. The novel was being written around the same time as the film was being written as well. It's also directed by Brian Hutton, who is also known for directing Kelly's Heroes, another Clint Eastwood movie that I haven't gotten around to watching yet. This film is highly plot-driven, but not so much character-driven, so you won't find many character arcs throughout this film. To me, this is okay if the plot has a lot to offer, and for this film, it really does. It has a lot of attention to detail and constantly twists and turns and goes up and down and all around, and it's fun. The film is unpredictable and it's highly well thought out. Sometimes I think it's a little bit too well thought out because the characters seem to just have things work out a bit too well for them and they get away with things a bit too easily. But that's okay, it doesn't ruin the movie, it's still really good and still really suspenseful. Just at the 3rd act of the film, it started to drag a bit. The action scenes were starting to get a little bit too long. However, other than that, it was still awesome, and the film was just a constantly moving machine. Some would say that the first hour sets up the action and the drama, but for me, the first hour is where the real action and drama is. It's all about this spying and the espionage, and to me, I just miss seeing this kind of thing in action films. Each action scene sets up and pays off something in the plot, every time. And with this film, they have so much opportunity to design some incredible action scenes with the locations that they have. And they do. It's awesome. When I talk about action scene design, I'm talking about the circumstances, the stunts, all the elements, the shots, and how all these things come together to make the scene work. So I'm not talking just about, explosions and machine guns going off. I'm talking about the filmmaking techniques involved in making a scene more suspenseful and dramatic through the action. And with this film, it does that brilliantly. And there's a special shout out to the stunts in this film, which are really risky even for the time. There's some pretty crazy stunts, and the violence in it is pretty full on in some scenes. It made me go, whoa, in some parts. Where Eagles Dare shares very similar look and tone to the James Bond films of the 1960s. This includes On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was made 1 year later.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
The similarities include the snowy mountaintops of the Austrian Alps, the castle on top of the mountain, the espionage, and the relentless action scenes. Where Eagles Dare shares a lot of similarities with a lot of the World War II action films of the 60s. So this film fits itself into this group not as an anti-war film, but as an action film. Another thing I really love about this film is the use of the exotic locations that you see. It's set in the Austrian Alps, where it's also shot, and there's also the castle that they have to get to, which is a real castle that they did shoot inside of as well, and it's glorious.
Well, if you got any other surprises, I think I ought to know about them.
There's one little thing that I noticed that's really cool, and that is the use of Nazi propaganda posters that you see put on some of the buildings. They look like movie posters, but I'm not too sure, you'll have to look closer. I haven't seen this kind of production design used in films before with this subject matter, the Nazis.
Our job is to get inside there and get him out as soon as possible.
The thing I dislike the most about this film is the lack of language. What I mean by that is the fact that these characters have to infiltrate the Nazis and sort of become Nazis themselves. In doing that, they don't change their language or accents. They're still speaking in English and in their accents. And it's kind of confusing when the point is to kind of blend in, which is a little bit annoying and impractical. It is set up early in the film that they do speak really good German, and then that would become useful later on, but they never actually speak German, and I think because of this we are supposed to think that they speak German and then it's translating for us or something. This is a common staple in films of that era, and well, even today it's done. For example, in the film Jojo Rabbit, where I think it was more important to be able to have them speaking in their native tongues, or at least in the accents, because it does deal with more serious themes. And it was a bit confusing in that film because, you know, some of them had English accents and some of them had German accents, and it was just all muddled up.
Oh God. Yeah, I know, it's definitely not a good time to be a Nazi.
Well, we're not talking about that film. Where Eagles Dare is fun, suspenseful, awesome. The film looks fantastic, especially on Blu-ray, but the cinematography is awesome, and the soundtrack is cool. Dun, 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 dun. This film is also recommended on James Gunn's top 54 action films to be watched during quarantine. So yes, I agree with that. That's an awesome list. Just as a heads up, the action scenes do tend to be a little bit too long in some parts, which may put off some people. So unless you love action films, that's one thing that you may not like. I'm gonna give this film a good 7 out of 10. Yep, so that means you should go watch this film with that rating. Thanks for watching, and please comment and tell me if you really like the film, or if you've seen it, or if there's any other films you want me to review or just check out. And please like and subscribe, and come check out more reviews that I'll be doing later on. Thanks for watching. Long live film.